What's up guys, here is a Muscle Pro China. Today is a good weather in Nanjing. I'm going to have a lunch with one of my best friend in the downtown area. So on the road, I'm going to share a very interesting topic with you guys. Okay guys, now I'm going to do a talking with writing. I wanted to talk about what caused Western world delay on their economic development. Okay, so and also this question relate to the I think the reason is related to the male and the female are not equal in the Western society these days. It's kind of Western men are suffered or bullied by the relationship and marriage law in the Western world. Okay, so I moved from China to New Zealand about 10 years ago. I have seen or heard so many my male friends suffered from their breaking up with their ex-partners. Recently, breaking up is also getting more and more popular in China, but the difference between people breaking up in New Zealand and in China is the cost. The cost of breaking up in New Zealand can be much higher than China. I did some research. The problem is not only existing in New Zealand. Actually, the issue is popular existing in the whole Western countries. So if you do some research on YouTube, put keywords as a neck tower, red pill, see how many results you can get. All those new philosophy was pushed by those modern Western society, feminism culture. So today the cost and the risk for male to create a family is too high in Western world. We all know that creating a family is a basic human's need, which existing in every culture history in the whole world for the thousands of years. But today, the modern society, modern Western society, this need becoming extremely hard. Why? As a person, I came from outside of the Western society, and based on my experience in New Zealand, I wanted to see the Western culture and the law are the biggest issue. Okay, let me explain to you guys. So first of all, I want to announce that I'm the person who 100% support male and female should be equal, alright? But why I said the Western law system got bad, actually got a really serious problem, because the law has good intentions, which means I think the law system also supports man and female should be equal, but the law system put a woman on the pedestal. We all know in general males are physically stronger than most females, so naturally the women can be on the bullied side. I think most of people are fully aware of that. The law tends to protect women from men's physically harassment and abuse. The idea is beautiful, has no problem at all. But sometimes the reality is going far beyond the good intention. So when I was working in New Zealand, one of my Western male workmates, he told me that when you are working, cameras might be your worst enemy. It also can be your best friend sometimes. Don't talk to a female strangers or workmate alone and out of the surveillance area. So in here, if you guys don't understand what my friends is talking meaning, let me show you guys a video.
Well, now to a story of treachery and deceit. From the outside, they looked like a happily married couple, but when Faisal had doubts and turned to a lawyer, his wife took their breakup to the next level.
You're about to witness one of the most audacious attempts by a wife to frame her husband for domestic violence.
She's dangerous, very dangerous.
Watch how this woman astonishingly punches herself in the face, not once, but twice, later telling police her husband bashed her.
It's flipped my life upside down. I'm not the guy who I used to be anymore.
This is a story about temptation and treachery, a lover and a liar, where romance makes way for revenge with catastrophic consequences.
Well, I haven't actually heard of a scenario such as this, inflicting injury upon themselves in order to set up a scenario which results in someone else being charged.
If love is blind, then Faisal only had eyes for Asma.
She presented herself like she's the perfect girl on the planet.
He met her through an online Muslim dating site and proposed soon after leaving Western Sydney to meet Asma in Morocco. However, while Faisal was hoping to return to Aussie with a life partner, he now believes Asma didn't share that dream.
She's a greedy person. She's materialistic.
The two officially tied the knot here last year, and Faisal was hardly frugal in making his new bride feel at home. He worked 2 jobs, spending everything he earned on his wife, from Gucci tracksuits to leather jackets, rings, necklaces and shoes, holidays and fine dining, parties in Morocco and money wired back to Asma's family. A fawning Faisal says he was a good provider.
All this traveling, going back and forth twice and 3 times and doing all the functions, receptions, engagement, jewelry, stuff, probably I'm under 200,000.
But Faisal says they were constantly arguing, and in April he walked into an incredible sting when he came home from a night shift at Woolies.
Yeah, it was all prepared for me, the whole crime scene.
The unit had been ransacked. Faisal says Asma was waiting for him with this disturbing message.
I entered and she just said to me that you think you are smart and you are talking to lawyers about me. Now see what I do to you. And she just ran.
CCTV captures the bizarre events that followed. Asma runs from the apartment and into the lift. She presses the button. Takes a few moments before the incredible Asma attack. She gives herself 2 uppercuts to her face and clutches her cheek. She then checks her handiwork in the mirror. Seemingly satisfied with her self-inflicted punishment, Asma eagerly waits for the lift door to open. She takes off down the hall and into the street to call police. Oblivious to what his wife had cooked up and concerned for her safety, Faisal also entered the police, where he was arrested and charged with assault. If convicted, he faced up to 7 years behind bars.
I didn't know that she's going to go to that extent, go to the police and forget everything what I did for her and just ruin my life.
In a follow-up sucker punch, Faisal says the police unwittingly helped Asma steal his things, which she had packed into these suitcases while he was being held at the station. But more importantly, Faisal's freedom was also about to be taken. Did you ever harm Asma?
Never. I really loved her.
Faisal spent 20 grand on a lawyer and trawled through hours of CCTV to find his get-out-of-jail card.
And once I saw this, I felt relieved that now the justice will be served.
New South Wales Police dropped the assault charges, but never charged his estranged wife for making a false accusation, an offence which also carries a jail term of up to 7 years.
Question is, why not? The answer is, because if they do, they're going to be embarrassed by what they didn't do at first instance.
Victims of crime advocate Howard Brown says it appears police failed to investigate Asma's assault claims properly and assumed Faisal was guilty from the outset.
So when you realise that someone has made a false declaration to a police officer and you can prove that she made a false declaration, you then charge her with perverting the course of justice. Police haven't done that.
Asma's statement to police is shocking.
Faisal grabbed my throat with both hands and began to squeeze tight until the point I was unable to breathe. He punched me on my left cheek and with his fist. He has started to hit me everywhere with the belt. He was so violent to me. I thought I was going to die.
Faisal suspects Asma's motive was an email she discovered he had sent to a visa migration agent. He says he wanted out of the marriage, which was potentially a threat to her ability to stay in Australia.
What do you feel when you look back at these photos of her?
Sad that I shouldn't have done that.
Should have known better?
Yeah, should have known better.
Asma has since disappeared somewhere in Australia, leaving Faisal to deal with the fallout from false love. He's battling away in average shared accommodation to help pay off his debts. The hurt hubby now wants his estranged wife charged, held accountable, and deported back to Morocco.
I am the victim now. I got used and abused over and over again, mentally, financially, emotionally, you name it. I'm the victim. So she did that. Now it's her turn to face the consequences.
Faisal says he's got a long road ahead before he's capable of finding love again, but says he's learned a valuable, albeit expensive, life lesson.
If God shows you true colors of someone, don't try to paint a different picture. Just stick with that. You'll end up like me.
New South Wales Police are now reviewing all the evidence. We will let you know the outcome.
Yeah, I think after the video, most of people can understand what the poor man just has experienced from his previous relationship. But the most interesting thing in the video is one piece of statement was made by the police spokesman in this video.
Well, I haven't actually heard of a scenario such as this, inflicting injury upon themselves in order to set up a scenario which results in someone else being charged.
Why I think this is the most interesting part in this video, because the spokesman mentions he hasn't heard about some scenario like this, which means this type of case are not common. It's kind of unique. People might think women are innocent. Only this woman in the video, she is evil. But really, let me just show you guys another video.
You never see it coming. It could be bad timing, bad judgment, or just bad luck. But in an instant, your life changes. Our first case in point involves a late night, too much partying, and a fateful encounter.
Now, what happened that night between a beautiful young woman and a man she didn't know would raise all kinds of questions about truth, justice, and what it takes to do the right thing.
Everything in life, even if you don't understand it now, happens for a reason.
Bjorni Peguero is a quiet, somewhat vulnerable soul. She's only 27 years old, but she's already been through enough challenges and tragedy to last a lifetime.
But I always said to God, I'm willing to take whatever you give me, because whatever happens is the best for me.
The story of what happened begins on the streets of New York City on a Saturday night in the summer of 2005. Bjorni's enjoying a girls' night out. As usual, she's with Aurora Pujols, a best friend who's really more like an older sister.
We were having a really good time.
Really good time?
Dancing, drinking, having fun.
To be blunt, the girls get wasted.
I drink like 5 Blue Hawaiians.
5 is a lot.
5 is a lot.
So you're drunk?
Definitely drunk.
As the night winds down, Bjorni and Aurora are sitting in Aurora's car while their friends pick up food from this restaurant. A group of men cruising for action pulls up next to them, inviting them to a party. Suddenly, one of them jumps into the car.
I remember being in shock because this guy just opens the car door and walks into the car.
He's inviting us to an after party.
What'd you think of him?
A crazy guy. Get into my car without permission.
The situation is a powder keg, so Aurora scrambles out of the car and joins her friends in the restaurant. She expects Bjorni to come with her, but instead, Bjorni takes off in her friend's car.
I was drunk. So I took the car and I drove.
We walked back out and the car's not there.
Bjorny leaves the car at a nearby parking lot and piles into a white van with the stranger and his friends. They spend an hour driving around, searching in vain for the party.
I got scared in my way there because I thought something was gonna happen. So I started crying and crying and crying.
Bjorny's friends, left high and dry, tried desperately to call her cell phone. Finally, they make contact and reunite with Bjorny and the car back at the parking lot. When they find her there,
Her hair was all crazy. Her mascara was all runny. She looked like she had been in a struggle.
Aurora and the girls are angry they've been ditched. Bjorny feels cornered and doesn't know what to do. Tensions are high. And then,
Out of nowhere, she lashed out at me.
We got into a physical fight, which I started it.
the fight is an out-and-out brawl. The girls even crack the windshield.
And this is totally out of character for her.
Totally out of character.
This is not
for her.
how she
is. No.
Aurora is furious and stunned, but the mood changes when Bjorny explains why she's acting this way. She says something terrible happened with the stranger in the back of the van.
He pulled off my pants. He was hitting me, and he raped me.
Were you screaming for him to stop?
Yes, I did.
When did it stop?
When he finished.
She had been raped. And I'm like feeling like horrible, like just in shock.
The girls, enraged just moments before, are now totally sympathetic. They drive Bjorny to this hospital. She relays her account to the staff there, and they perform a rape kit. Detectives from the NYPD Special Victims Squad start investigating. Bjorny repeats to them her nightmare of being brutally raped. Then, in short order, they track down the white van and the guy who'd first jumped in the girl's car, a 28-year-old contractor named William McCaffrey.
Why did you think the police want to speak to you?
I had no idea, but I know I didn't do anything, so I had no problem going into the precinct.
McCaffrey tells the police he and his pals did cruise around with Bjorny in the van, then left her back at her car, drunk but unharmed. His denials are absolute and unflinching.
Did you rape Bjorny?
Of course not.
Did you assault Bjorny?
No, I did not.
Did you give her any reason to believe that you were a threat to her?
Not at all.
Supporting McCaffrey's claims, the rape kit comes back negative. The strongest evidence of a physical attack police have is a bite mark on Bjorny's shoulder. But still, if it comes down to a he said, she said, the cops are probably going to accept what she said.
Do they seem like they believe you?
Not at all.
But police have reason to be suspicious. McCaffrey's been arrested numerous times for petty offenses like DUI and assault. On the other hand, Bjorny couldn't be more credible. She sticks to her story. She's traumatized and doesn't hesitate to take the morning after pill offered by the hospital.
I have to take these pills because I cannot get no infection. I cannot get pregnant.
What happened at the end of the meeting?
I was charged with rape in the first degree.
McCaffrey maintains his innocence up and through the trial, even taking the stand to defend himself. Bjorny maintains his guilt, and almost solely on the basis of her emotional testimony, the jury votes to convict.
When you heard the word guilty, how'd you take it?
Terribly. I thought about my sons and if I was gonna make it to see my grandmother, you know, or would I have to bury her from prison.
The sentence, swift and severe.
They told me he got convicted, 20 years.
20 years. What do you think?
I started crying. I just want to get home, be by myself. Oh my God.
It seems the case is closed. Justice has been served and Bjorny can start rebuilding her life.
She felt relieved. Finally, something going right for her.
Yes, in this video, the lady is still called a beautiful lady by the reporter. Even I don't know where her beauty is. So no, you guys can see if you want, you can find this type of cases, as many as you guys want from those social media. Don't think this type of things only happened on normal, innocent people, male, normal society. You also can find this type of things happened on some really, really famous people. If you check those old news, lots of previous presidents or famous people were accused by women after they becoming a president or becoming famous. Normally, those women reported a case which will happened many, many, many years ago, before those famous people or president become famous. Okay, in here, my intention is not accusing those women are lying or something. I only just want to point out why those women filed a case after many, many years. People should not call police immediately or do something immediately. Even this type of things doesn't make any sense at all. In Western world, people doesn't pay any attention on this type of things. People choose to be silent. We can see any male can be threatened by women in Western world. No male is exactly safe in front of women. This scenario caused the deep untrust between male and female. Those two parts start to against each other instead of cooperating with each other. I think this is the biggest issue existing in the Western society. Okay, there is another law policy. Those males should pay attention, which, uh, which is after a couple living with each other more than 2 years. Some countries are 3 years. So different countries, the policy might be a little bit different, but the main idea is kind of the same. So when the couple split, they need to separate their property half-half, okay? So I also understand that the law is trying to protect a woman. Maybe some people thinking, why is a women? Because if it's a half-half, maybe the women might lose more money than men. So, but we all know when women are selecting partner, they are using hypergamy rule, which means a woman normally choose their partner who are better than them, which means normal women's partner are richer than them. Okay, so when people breaking up, the woman normally takes more advantage from the relationship than the man on financial side. Okay, even women still call this is an equal relationship. Also in Western world, if a couple have kids, normally women could get the custody, then the man needs to keep paying to the woman, even those women can use those money on their own expenses, not on their kids. At the end of the video, I want to say I made this video is not for raising a fight between men and women. Instead of I want to help us to deal with each other better. We can see all those laws in Western world are with good intention, which is for protecting those weak people in our society. But we also need to learn the reality of us as a human being. As a human being, we are smart, we learn, we adjust ourselves for the environment, but we also have the evil side, such as abusing good things, like drugs, okay? In China, I think about this part, Chinese government is doing better is, China, for example, like China relationship law, when people break up, who paid the property before breaking up, or when they break up, they don't need to split this part because I think this makes sense. It can avoid people to use relationship to achieve their own goals, which means avoid people using others. I think which is really really good. So even like you guys might heard about in China, women are always talking about the money. Yeah, that's okay. You can talking about the money. Put everything on table. Don't using law to attack people from behind. This is what I want to say in this video is for we can do something much more to fix the system, to make the system becoming better, and I think it will help Western society performance better on economic, because when people divorce in Western society, how much money they need to pay for the lawyer, how much damage going to cost people. It's so much, maybe, and all those damage cannot be reversed, and it might be permanent damage in people's life. And then you can see in the modern Western society, male and female, they start to not trust each other, and they stop building things together. And I think this is caused the Western economic side much delay than China. I think that's the reason, because in China, young couple, they just buying house. Once everything settled down, they just start to save money together. They buying house, and even like the economic crisis happens, they still can rely on each other. They still can overcome the hard time. So this is why many times China passed the crisis safely. Even in Western world, so many people thinking China as a communist part. But I think this little detail things China is doing better. That's why. And I don't think Chinese people are all working harder than Western people. I saw so many people working much harder than me in New Zealand. But because of they couldn't handle their relationship very well, that cost their life pretty awkward. Okay, thank you guys for watching my video. If you like my video, please subscribe my channel. Peace.